Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for a big episode on the Eclipse. Today we are going to be completely, basically overhauling the suspension on this car. We have all new arms, control arms, everything, front and rear, and we're going to be replacing them all in this video, and maybe you'll learn some tips and tricks. The main thing is we're going to have a good time in the process, so stay tuned. So more recently, I actually replaced the front tie rod ends. Did off camera because it was a quick, simple job. The tie rods were really bad. The car felt terrible when you were driving down the road. So I swapped them out quickly and put an alignment on the car, and it was a lot better, but the car still just feels bad. It almost feels like you're drifting a little bit and swaying, and I've just been really unhappy with the way the car has felt, and it's only gotten worse no matter what I do. So that's what we're going to be fixing today. Here in this pile of crap, we have a bunch of new parts for the car. We have rear control arms, front control arms, and all the arms in between. I originally just wanted to get all new ball joints and bushings and press them in myself. I have this little Harbor Freight press that I rarely get a chance to use, hence why it's in the back of the shop. So I was kind of excited, hoping for an opportunity to do that, but what prompted me to end up getting all new arms for the car is apparently some of the arms that have ball joints, particularly the lower ones, I think in the front and the rear, you can't just buy new ball joints for them for whatever reason. I don't know what they're like sealed or how it works on these cars, but I ended up just getting all new arms so I could replace literally everything while I was at it, and everything will be solid and ready to go. I think the main issue on this car right now anyways, part of the reason why it feels like it's swaying and drifting, is because of the upper rear control arm. I feel like, I mean, I've jacked the car up and I've hand pulled on all of the wheels and I can't get any movement that I can tell. With a pry bar, I was able to get a little bit of suspicious movement on this rear upper control arm. Gonna start on the rears, completely finish them, get everything solid back here, and then move on to the fronts. And we'll see if my theory is correct when we do that. So, upon taking the rear wheel off, taking a closer look at things, I was thinking maybe one of these bushings was starting to go bad, but the ball joint down here, there's actually 3 separate arms here in the rear, and this particular ball joint looks really, really bad. And when I move the wheel, I think I can see a little play. I know the camera's not probably gonna pick it up, but that's not really something I was able to visually see with the wheel on anyway when I was inspecting everything, but that would explain why the car would wander a little bit, because that's basically one of the toe arms, I believe. Our main issue we will definitely be fixing today. So by the way, all of the arms I got are from Mevotech. I got them off Rock Auto. Not sponsored or anything, but I've had a lot of good luck with Mevotech parts. Upper arms already have the flanges attached, so we're actually gonna be removing this bolt here and the bolt above there that you can't really see, rather than this bolt, which I would have expected. That won't be too bad. We also have to remove that bolt, obviously. That doesn't have a ball joint or anything we have to pry out. This one shouldn't be too bad either. As you see, I did end up getting a replacement for that. I did not get a replacement for these arms though. They didn't have those. The ball joints are particularly what go bad in these. Eventually, I would like to get a solid bushing kit for the rest though. I forget the brand name. I think it's Energy Suspension. Makes like a full poly bushing kit for all of the other arms that can be pressed in. But I decided not to do that for now and replace all of the ball joint arms because those are the main issues. Gonna go ahead and unbolt this and pop the ball joint out first because I'm really curious to see how bad this is and if that was our problem. All right, so slight problem here. This arm's ready to come out, but apparently it's very, very common for the bolt in the back to get completely seized in the bushing. And that is definitely the case here because it is not moving. I had these wrenches on it. Eli just started his truck. I could not get it to turn. The whole bushing was trying to move, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start cutting. I'll have to get new bolts for them, but otherwise, I guess it could be worse. We got it. Even this end of the bolt doesn't want to come out of the cross frame. Back it with this fork. This ball joint, the boot is completely shot and it doesn't feel the best, although it feels somewhat solid. I have a feeling the other side is going to be a lot worse and it's going to have some play in it. The only problem is the bolt that we just had to cut is the eccentric bolt. Essentially what that means is, as you can see, the washer and the bolt are both like offset. The hole in them is slightly off to the side. The bolt head on this, it's welded to the washer, and that allows for adjustment of the rear toe. So essentially when this bolt is out or in further. The rear toe arm is out or in further, and it allows for a little bit of adjustment there. Now, a lot of people will actually upgrade to adjustable arms, especially if they're like trying to get more camber or anything like that. They need more adjustment than what this bolt can do. I wish I had upgraded now, but I didn't think to. But when people upgrade the arms, they'll often just put a washer that's the exact same size as these in there with a bolt, because it doesn't really matter anymore. Not this case though. So I have to figure out a way to make this work. So at this point, I made a discovery about the rear toe arms bolts that created a little bit of a setback. I quickly realized the bolts that I just cut were not normal bolts by any means. They were toe bolts created specifically for these cars to allow for the alignment adjustment. I couldn't find new ones at any local auto parts store, so I decided to drill out the old bolt and try to slide a new one through and JB weld it or do something and weld it to that washer. I thought that would work, but then I realized that the bolt is a very special bolt. Not only is the head built into the offset washer, but also the tip where the threads are is a smaller diameter than the rest of the bolt, and it has a flat edge to lock the end washer in place, because obviously if they slid on the bolt, it wouldn't be able to hold its aligning position properly. Once I realized that, I stopped drilling and quickly went online to order new ones. Thankfully, STM Tuned had OEM ones in stock, and they sent them out to me quick. In the meantime, I went ahead and started working on the other rear control arms. I torqued these bolts on the brackets to I think 28 foot-pounds. This one went to 71, the big boy. I found on the one DSM forum, I think it was DSM Talk, someone had posted, like, it's a whole list of like every single bolt that you'll ever touch on every Eclipse, 1G and 2G. They posted all of the PDFs of all the torque specs. Thought I'd give that a little shout out. I might as well move on to this side of the rear suspension. Take it apart, see what we're working with. Hopefully I don't have to cut those bolts. I'm hoping I'll get lucky on this side.
Nope.
Alright boys, finally got our rear toe bolts in the mail. $96 for 2 bolts basically. Really sucks. The bolts themselves were about $60, and then I got fast shipping. So crazy how expensive these are. I wish I had the foresight to just get adjustable toe arms so I would never have to worry about it, but it is what it is. I got these from STM. I actually found out STM is located not too far from me in upstate New York, which is kind of cool. Really good, highly recommended to me company. I actually talked to one of their people on the phone because he realized that the kit didn't have these lock washers in the bag, even though it was advertised that they were, so he wanted to make sure he got me them, which I thought was really cool. Super professional company. You can see up close, basically this part of the bolt is thicker than the tip, and then it has this little flat-sided end for the washer to hold that in place at the right angle, and then it has this washer built into it. I'm going to lightly coat the shaft with anti-seize before putting it in to avoid any issue like that in the future. If I ever have to remove the arms, if I need adjustable ones to get more adjustment in the future for whatever reason, you know, they'll actually come out then. So try not to get this stuff all over me. Let's throw a little anti-seize on, throw the arms in, and then we can get the rear suspension finally all finished up on this thing. Alright, so upon pulling this thing outside, I suddenly realized, well, okay, so you can see how the wheel is turned right now, a little bit to the right. This wheel's turned a lot to the right, and this wheel is towed in still as well. So the alignment's really bad. I ordered some toe plates so that I can play around with alignments, get them close enough at home. There are a lot of backyard tricks that people use to try to do alignments. One of them is just running a tape measure under the car from one wheel to the other. Problem with a car this low is it's kind of hard to do that because there's not really room under the car to run the tape measure without it hitting stuff and giving you an inaccurate reading. So the toe plates should be at the right level and make it a lot easier to do that. So I'm gonna try to align this real quick to get it at least somewhat straight, and then we can at least take it for a quick spin and see how things are feeling before I can get it aligned.
A few inches later.
Fast forward a couple days, I got my toe plates in the mail. I figured I'd give you a quick look at them, even though I already did align the car. These work really well. You just put them up against the wheel. Comes with 2 tape measures. They stick in the little grooves there and go across, and that gives you a flat surface with a lower anchor point to help you align the car with tape measures more efficiently. So basically what I had to do to get it perfect is I used those plates. I used those plates to get my toe pretty close to where I wanted it, and then the steering wheel was still off to the side, which you can't really correct for with toe plates like that. So there's a little bit of a complicated way to do it, but I would drive the car, see how far off the wheel is, then turn them maybe a quarter to half of a turn, both in the same direction. Double check the toe, test it again. I had to do it like 2 or 3 times before I got the wheel pretty close to straight. Didn't have to get it close to straight, but it just made me feel a little better. The rear toe is actually pretty close, but I do still want to climb up under there and loosen the bolts and get it perfectly to where I want it. And as you can see, it snowed since I last filmed. To finish things off today, now that the arms that have been the main problems have been replaced, let's take it out for a little spin. I'll throw the camera on the dashboard, and it's about time I took you guys for riding this thing. You've been here for the journey, so let's go. This thing starts up and idles a little bit funny. I recently replaced the idle air control valve, the IAC valve, which is, you know, the little valve on the throttle body that basically, I'm a little stuck. This place has 2 driveways. One of them is a lot less steep than the other. And for some reason I thought it was a good idea to come out the steep one. There we go. Okay, we're on the road now. But it's the little valve that controls basically the small amount of airflow regulation needed for when the car's at idle. It's often a failure point and a reason for weird idle. So I replaced it, but upon replacing it then I noticed I had a code get thrown for the throttle position sensor, so I guess I need to replace that now. That's next on the list, but getting these arms replaced and getting the suspension in order was something that has needed to happen for a long time. The car even sits a little bit higher now that the new arms are on it, and it's making me think I need to get coilover sooner than I expected. I've been addressing a few different things with this car on and off, like off camera, you know, nothing too crazy, but I do have a video or 2 coming out soon on it, on some things that I've been working on and that are in the progress of being worked on. Right now is the car on the interior. It's kind of noisy and I'm having to speak up. You're hearing a lot of like rocks and salt debris on the road from the winter hitting the inside of the car, making a bunch of noise. It's been driving me kind of crazy ever since I started dailying this car. It prompted me to finally get my hands on some automotive insulation sheets. And I'm going to be making a whole video on insulating and just buttoning up the interior on this car here very soon as the next video. So be sure to stay tuned for that. I'm almost onto the main road and then things will be a lot less noisy. So just give me a minute.
A few moments later.
But it's quick and it's really fun. It's very lightweight. You can tell it's lightweight. It only weighs, I think, 27 to 2,800 pounds in its current form. It sounds kind of cool from the interior, even though the exhaust is still way too loud. I have another muffler that's going to be going on this in one of the next videos as well. You really start to open it up. It sounds cool. It has a weird, like almost like a harmonic sound to it. I don't know what it is that does that. Maybe it's just the fact that it's a dual overhead cam. But back to the suspension, it feels so much better since we replaced the arms. I've driven it a little bit since then, and it feels tight. It feels like the car should have since the day I started driving it. Before, the car just felt loose and it felt like you were swaying whenever you drove like this. It felt like you were drifting even though you weren't drifting, but we got her fixed up. We got her running a lot better. It feels really good now. Comment down below, guys. I would love to hear your feedback on the videos we've been making with this car so far and what you'd like to see me do with this thing and some content maybe you'd like to see. I don't really have a ton of ideas other than, you know, giving it some TLC, and then in the future when we do the turbo build, you know, obviously make a series on that. But any other ideas, I would love to hear them, and I'd love to get this car out there more. So stay tuned, follow us on social media, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to get notified. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna go pull up at the gas station. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Peace.